Hey guys, it's Mike Sposato from Carolina Realty Advisors. Today I'm starting something completely different and new. Sort of this video series I'm putting together is kind of a day in the life of a real estate broker, but one that's been doing it almost 25 years now. And after doing it this long, I've got a lot of really funny stories about things that have happened in the middle of deals or during a deal, whatever you want to say. Some things are really funny, some things are lesson learning, some things are painful. But I think they're interesting. And so my idea was to put out just some video content that's going to be anywhere from just 2 or 3, 4 minutes long, just quick, interesting little snippets here. And I think we're just going to go ahead and just be straightforward and call it the Mike Sposato Real Estate Storytelling Time. This is episode number 1. And when I think about it, one of the biggest stories that sticks out is way back in the day, right before we had the recession in 2008. The market was really hot, and at that point in time, I was working with a friend of mine who was a first-time buyer, and I'd gotten her pre-approved with a lending source that I've worked with several times by that point. She had a pretty good rate, and we were working together, looking at some properties, and everything was kind of coming together, and we found the property that she wanted to buy, and we put it under contract. And she went out, apparently, and went out having fun and celebrating with her friends, and met some guy at the club. She came back the next day and told me that this guy was going to give her a 4% interest rate. Well, back then, interest rates were probably 6.5%. So 4% was out of this world. And I was like, this is too good to be true. Are you sure? And she was, yeah, I'm sure. So she used a relatively large bank here in Charlotte. I'm not going to name the name. But anyway, we go through the process. And along the way, the Charlotte Observer somehow or another reaches out to me and asks, do you have any first-time buyers that are in the process of buying a home? So I'm like, yep. And the Charlotte Observer tags along. We go to the final walkthrough, and right after that we went to the closing. So they're there in the closing, writing, taking pictures, etc. And we were doing the closing at a title company, and we usually don't use title companies. In fact, I always use closing attorneys because I want an attorney representing our clients. But in this particular situation, my buyer client and her lender wanted to use this title company. Well, we start getting into the closing, and the title agent says, oh yeah, you have a 4% interest. It's for 6 months. And after that, it goes up to 19%, like a credit card. And I was like, what? And I grabbed the papers and I started reading over them. And I was like, did you realize you're buying this house on a credit card? This is not a mortgage. She started crying. I walk out into the lobby where the lender was, and I was like, hey man, you need to come in here and explain stuff. And he was like, put stuff in his briefcase as fast as he could and he ran out the door. This is all really happening. What we were able to do to make it right is I happened to have a contact at that bank who was kind of high up in the bank. I explained to him what had happened. They, in order to avoid any problems, lawsuits, and to save face, they did give her a very aggressive rate. I think it was probably 6.25, which was better than the market. They completely threw away the other loan. They fired that guy for fraud. And down the road, unfortunately, that title agent who did the closing actually ended up going to prison. And so the moral of the story that I bring here is this. I know it's a sad one, but there's lessons to be learned. If you've got a really good, knowledgeable agent that's been in the business for a while, has a lot of experience, when they tell you to do something, it's probably in your best interest that you do it. Of course, check a little bit. I'm not saying you have to take everything blindly, but my friend didn't listen to me. She listened to this Johnny-come-lately guy from the club thinking that he was all this and that, and he lied to her. And had I not gone to closing and caught that, she could have been financially ruined right from the get-go in life. So anyway, that's episode 1 of Mike Sposato Storytelling. There's going to be plenty more to come, so hopefully you find this one interesting. If you have any questions or happen to know anybody looking to avoid having a big painful mistake when they buy their first home, please give me a call at 704-619-7070. Look forward to talking with you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.